All right, guys, we're back in my garage for another video. Sorry, but this is an emergency. I had to come on here and tell you something. B48s are getting fast. Yes, the 4-cylinder version of our beloved B58 engines are starting to show just what they're capable of, and they are getting very quick, even faster than a lot of B58s out there. So I just thought I would come here and share the news with you that this offender has taken the B48 on his back to chase the fastest times out there and show us exactly what it's capable of. And it's actually getting pretty impressive. So I just kind of wanted to talk about it, and hopefully you guys find this video useful.
Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe because there will be a lot more coming out in the future.
So the shop car that we're talking about is a Supra owned by In Pursuit of Speed Motorsports, and I'm going to just shorten this and say IPOS. I don't know if that's how they actually say it or if they say IPOS or whatever, so I apologize if I say it wrong, but IPOS Motorsports has this A90 Supra that they have been pushing to try to chase the fastest B48 times. And I guess first things is I've seen some comments that people didn't realize the Supra had a 4-cylinder version. So yes, there is a 4-cylinder B48 powered Supra. It's kind of the same as like the old naturally aspirated 2JZ Supras. This is the new, more economical, cheaper, better on gas, easier to get into Supra compared to its bigger brother with the B58 engine. And it sold pretty well. It doesn't seem like they're going to be selling it much more, but it was an option that did pretty good numbers. Now, this Supra was always kind of the one that you just got to daily drive maybe, and eventually you tried to move up to a B58. But these guys at IPOS have decided that the 4-cylinder BMW engines are going to be theirs. So they actually have a full catalog of upgrades for these 4-cylinder engines. Even the older N20 and N26 has some fuel upgrades and turbo options on their site, but now they're digging into the B48 as well. So let's go ahead and break down the car. So this is a nitro yellow A90 Supra, which is already an interesting decision. Everybody knows that fast Supras are red, so picking a yellow one already shows that they came to play. And it has a B46 TU engine. And if you're confused about the B46 TU nomenclature, first of all, the B46 is basically the more emissions compliant version of the B48. A lot of cars have a more emissions compliant version that it's sold in California or anywhere where they have stricter emissions laws. But this go around, BMW said, forget it, the whole United States gets it. So B48s are sold outside of the United States, but in the US, we only got the B46. Mostly it is the same. Again, it just has, higher emission standards. And then it is a TU engine. So there is a Gen 1 and Gen 2 B48, just like there's a Gen 1 and Gen 2 B58. And it comes with all of the upgrades that we've come to love on the Gen 2 B58. So it has a TU high pressure fuel pump, TU injectors, all the things that we love. It just has 2 cylinders chopped off. So it is literally a 4-cylinder version of the B58 TU. And of course, to take it to the next level, the first thing they did is swap the turbo. So they took off the stock B46 turbo and put on their own IM500 turbo. And this is their hybrid turbo offering. So it is a stock location turbo that can mount up to your stock downpipe, intake, charge pipe. All of the stock hardware will mount up to it, but it is a brand new casting. So it's not a modified stock turbo. It is a brand new one that has its own bigger exhaust housing and it flows a lot better, bigger wheels inside of the turbo so it can support a lot more power. Now they also have an IM450 option for people that aren't shooting for that much power, but of course they went with the IM500 on their car since they want to go as fast as possible. And here is a little bit of a comparison between the stock turbo and their upgraded turbo. So you can see just how much bigger it is, and it makes sense why it's able to support more power. Now they do have options for the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 B48, and even the mini platforms that have the transverse mounted engine, they have a hybrid option for you as well. Now, of course, this needs a bunch of supporting mods. So they have their own 4-inch downpipe so that it can breathe better. And then they've also added extra fuel with port injection. Now they do have a port injection spacer plate option. So again, just like the B58, the spacer plate will mount between the intake manifold and the cylinder head and adds additional injectors so you can spray more fuel. But they actually opted for an upgraded intake manifold entirely. So it has a bigger intercooler core because yes, the intercooler is built into the manifold, just like the B58. And it also adds in port injectors as well. So on theirs, they're actually running 4 1050cc injectors along with the stock DI to support full E85. Now they also added a Viscani Stage 1 low pressure fuel pump in the fuel tank, and all of this is controlled by a Motiv Reflex Plus. So everything, again, just like the B58, just with a couple less plugs. Now this car was tuned by Racebox on Ecutech, and it made 507 wheel horsepower and 477 foot-pounds of torque, which is really impressive. You know, it's kind of like getting stock turbo B58 numbers out of this B48, so definitely a nice thing to see. But when you look at the actual performance times, you realize just how fast this car has gotten. And I'm going to try to read these off so I get them right. So it ran a 10.04 at 134 miles an hour in the quarter mile. So literally knocking on the doors of nines. I can't believe it's almost a 9-second B48, but by the time this video is posted, maybe it's already happened. I guess we'll see. It also ran a 1.44 60 foot, so it has an incredible launch. And then the rolling times are good as well. It has a 6.59 60 to 130 and a 5.58 100 to 200. So fast all around, and then it's doing a 2.48 0 to 60 on the street. It is a prepped road, but this is a rear-wheel drive car launching on the street, pulling these times. So no matter how you cut it, it's extremely impressive. Now you're probably wondering how this is even possible, and yes, there is more to the story because you typically wouldn't expect a car that's making just over 500 wheel horsepower to run low 10s or almost high 9s in the quarter mile. And there are a lot of little things that they did to get the best performance possible. A big part of it is that they included some custom traction control logic in the tune. So this is all designed and set up by Racebox so that they can get the best launch possible. And also there is a significant amount of weight reduction on top of the already low weight. So if you don't already know, the B48 is significantly lighter than the B58 version of the Supra. It's coming in at under 3,200 pounds, so it's over 200 pounds lighter than the Supra. And then they went with additional weight reduction, so they removed the seats and swapped in a race seat in the front. They've also got small brakes as well as a drag pack. They've removed their exhaust, so now it's just running a turn down. So a lot of things obviously add up, and now the car is running closer to 2,900 pounds. So that's literally almost as light as a BRZ. So very, very impressive. But obviously that weight plays a big factor in getting the performance that they achieved. So yeah, these guys are really putting B48s on the map, and I will say there are a lot of other parts that they sell on their website as well. They've got high pressure fuel pump upgrades, they've got drive shaft upgrades, all primarily catered to cars that have the B48 engine. Some of these parts also fit on the B58 and they'll list it as such, but you can see that it seems like their focus is on the 4-cylinder guys. So really cool to see how much energy they're putting into this platform and just what they were able to achieve. I'm excited to see what the next step will hold because it sounds like they're going to be pushing it further and eventually going with a top mount turbo. Who would have thought we'd have top mount 4 cylinders in 2025, but sounds like that is on the way. And then they'll try to see if they can shoot for over 600 wheel and push it deeper into the 9-second quarter mile range. So excited to see what they achieve this year. I will have all of their information linked down below in case you guys want to keep up with their development. And otherwise, I think that's it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.